Hello and welcome. My name is Mark Blatstein, the physician founder of Physician Pre-Sentence Report Service, White Collar Support Solutions. My phone is 240-888-7778. So we're going to be covering you're indicted and facing prison, but you don't want to give up. And the topic for tonight is going to be prison consultants and their benefit and why do you want to hire someone like that? When you're facing this event, it's a life-altering event. And I've been in your shoes and it can be overwhelming. There's lawyers, decisions to be made. If unfortunately you may be facing months to years of just waiting. Do you decide you're going to go to trial or you're going to plea? If you're going to go to trial, just because you think you're right, this is a strategic decision between you and your attorney. And what do you do? These are all big, big decisions. I understand how overwhelming and frightening this can be. I've had 30 years in medicine and surgery, and I'm here to support you and work alongside you and your attorney. It's completely natural to feel this heavy weight of what you're going through. And I encourage you to focus on the pathway of moving forward because looking backwards, it's just not a good idea. I've been in your shoes. 2006, I had a felony. I have a personal experience within the BOP. It wasn't a good feeling. And in 2010, I was able to get my medical license back. Looking forward is really the only healthy option. There's no promises here. Prison is temporary and there's no guarantees. But for the past week, I've been on the phone with a conversation with a gentleman who had a life sentence. And wouldn't you know that he is now on his way from halfway house to supervised release at home? And so, even through the darkness, this too will pass. Prison consulting extends beyond what's the legal and the law. The nuances of your personal background is not part of what is considered a traditional defense. It's not going to be for all attorneys, but for most, because attorneys charge several hundred to thousands of dollars an hour. Maybe you just can't afford it, even if they want to do this part of a deep dive into your background. But even if they do not, you need to take the time because the part of your background that has from your childhood encompassing your past that has influences the choices that have led you to the choices that have directed you to your current decisions that have taken you to today are important. And they're important sharing this with your attorney because all of this impacts how he defends you and how he words your defense to your judge. And it comes under 18 USC Code 3553. And without this understanding, it could jeopardize your defense. And so you don't want to do that. You want to be able to have your attorney making the best defense that they can. Also, attorneys haven't been to jail for the most part. Some have, but they don't understand what goes on the do's and don'ts of prison life, the realities of the daily routine. They're not, they don't know the nuances of, how do you prepare when you leave your family, what you need to do, what you need to bring. Um, what to expect on your first day in prison. There's questions and concerns that you have, your family has, and so most of us try and reduce some of the stresses, answer your questions that you and your loved ones have, because you're not going to be on this journey by yourself. We'll be here to work with you and your loved ones and help you navigate this process with care and understanding. Medical care. At best, it's going to be basic care. It's going to depend on your medical record and having a complete medical record with you before you get to your pre-sentence interview. Questions that you've asked your attorney before you hire them is that make sure they have federal criminal defense experience with cases like yours and experience in federal court. Additionally, from my perspective, I make sure, because of my background in medicine, that you have access, if you need it, to optimal basic specialized care, because it's going to depend on your comprehensive personal medical record being part of your pre-sentence interview and then part of your pre-sentence report. It's not going to guarantee that you get the care because no one can guarantee you what the judge or the Bureau of Prisons will do, but at least it gives you the basic baseline before you enter prison. Now, as to my transition from pacing care to physician consultant, I'm grateful for the relationships I've been able to develop, both with retired BOP or Bureau of Prison officials, as well as colleagues in the medical field that I have been able to cultivate nationwide. Facing the legal system and being in prison can humble even the most hardened among us. It's a daunting experience to face. And I was as panicked as the best of you. But and I didn't know, I did not have anyone like I'm doing this YouTube tonight. I didn't have anyone to talk to ahead of time. And I really wish I did. And so you're not going through this alone. You can reach out and engage me and my service, or you can engage someone else. But you really need to have someone with you so you don't have to go this alone. So, how can a prison consultant help you? They can help you navigate through the lawyers, court appearances, and possibly facing prison because it's a burden and a surreal experience to go through on your own. It's nothing like Shawshank Redemption or these movies on TV. We're committed to helping you find answers to your questions before you get to prison, really. And so this is a journey that you don't want to go through yourself. And it's most important to have all these answers to your questions and be prepared for your pre-sentence interview before you get to the interview, because your probation officer is the most important person in your life. And that's because you meet them before they do the pre-sentence report, and they have impact and influence on your judge. Why a physician consultant? I mean, I'm partial to that because I provide immediate advice and reassurance regarding any medical and medication related questions that you may have. And my goal is going to be so you can return home as healthy as when you arrived. But there's a big caveat here, and that is that again, there's no guarantee once you get into prison that they're going to do. There's no guarantee is that they're going to provide the care that they're supposed to provide. And I say this because federal prisons have judges believing that they are equipped to provide all the care that you need, but that's not true. In October 2022, a federal judge held the Federal Bureau of Prisons in contempt for allowing a man to waste away from untreated cancer. So I'm going to pull this up on the website. Here is the article that I just quoted. And just so that you see, because I wanted to, here it is. The judge held the Federal Bureau of Prison in contempt, and this gentleman was dying of cancer. They refused all of the judge's orders, and they finally took the judge ordered him to be released. And eventually, what they did was they brought him to the airport and they left him on a bench without his wheelchair where he was soiling himself. And he was left at the mercy of bystanders that helped him along into the plane to where he was picked up when he landed at his home with his attorney and his family. And he was all soiled. It was a mess. But it's not the first time. We have experience with the Federal Bureau of Prisons. I've been where you're going. Experience have taught me that having knowledge and preparation is a core value for getting through life, and knowing what to expect before you arrive day one should give you some relief. And so medical care, again, has judges believing that all types of care is provided in a timely fashion. That's not the case. And so here is where other judges like Jesse Furman, this has to do with MDC Brooklyn, where this is a finding he wrote that the conditions where the defendant was going to have to go was so disgusting, even though that he had to make a judgment call where he knew that the Bureau of Prisons had kept the place where at MDC Brooklyn was in such terrible condition that he was not going to commit him to that facility, and that if he in fact was sent, if the Bureau of Prisons was going to place him there, he was going to change the order to home confinement. And so all of this is important to know ahead of time. We help you navigate. And it's important to navigate the legal system because it's going to be overwhelming. And so we partner with your attorney. Reduction in sentencing, if we can, consider an alternative option, finding a facility that genuinely understands and accommodates the individual's unique needs and advocates for a lower security facility, selects a prison closer to loved ones or legal residents, or ensures access to a vital rehabilitation program, which I'll go to at the very end of this YouTube, and I'll show you what I provide to your lawyers, and then to the judge. There's prison policies, which they expect you to know, which is incredible. Prison policy expects you to know the administrative remedy process. What is that? Well, at home, we all know we find lawyers. Well, in prison, they want you to know the administrative remedy process, which is for grievances or accessing necessary medical or mental health care. And so you're not going to know that. But in this particular case above, where the person was dying from cancer, the family from home, there are procedures that you can do to help the person, can help expedite that administrative remedy process. If the person is an invalid and they cannot speak for themselves, there are things that can be done from home. As a physician consultant, I'm intimately involved in how medications are provided and care levels, how it's provided and how it's done. Medical care, pretty basic. It's care levels 1 through 4. Care level 1, you don't need medical care. Care level 4 is hospital care, 24/7, 365. If in fact you need the care, but you don't need it around the clock, they have what's called inmate companions that will qualify you for care level 3, which is almost a care level 4, but you don't qualify to get in a hospital. You don't want to try and get into hospital care all the time because they house violent and nonviolent offenders. Care level 2 is most of the population. Medical medications, rather, are either going to be on formulary, generic, which are available. Hopefully, it's in your pre-sentence report. If it's not, they may give it to you, they may not. Non-formulary, they have it, but they're not going to give it to you. If it's in your pre-sentence report, they're still not going to give it to you. If it's in your pre-sentence report and your physician was very clear in how they wrote their orders in the pre-sentence report, a specific way, then you may get it. If it's not available, again, it depends how your physician wrote their notes and orders in your pre-sentence report. Next, we're going to go into the pre-sentence report service, which is where we request your permission. In other words, life doesn't have guarantees, and no one can promise what the BOP or the judge is going to do. But it's definitely a help to go ahead and have copies of everything that your probation officer wants ahead of time, spell checked and organized. You want to have a narrative. Why? Well, the Department of Justice has written your story. They branded you kind of like Wheaties has Breakfast of Champions. Well, they've done your brand for you through your indictment. The only way you can counter that is through your narrative, your story, well written, letters that can attest to your character, only attesting to your character. And so one of those letters can say, listen, great guy, woman, we can give you a job after you are released from prison, as long as we have a position available. That's a great letter. Release plan, I go into it in another YouTube, allocution. If you have written and rewritten and to the point you own your narrative, which is your version of events, that doesn't make you sound like America's worst criminal in the world, like your indictment, then your allocution is your conversation with your judge. And if all this was provided to your probation officer ahead of time, and maybe they become your advocate and talk to your judge and they want to talk to you, then you've done everything that you've requested. And they may appreciate your effort by getting everything ahead of time to them organized. Now they have time to talk to you during your interview. You can't ask for more than that. Judges, judges know that crimes are often rooted in life circumstances. You just need to take steps to maybe share with them what you want to do to change your life. Humanize yourself to your judge. You've done that at your pre-sentence interview and at your sentencing hearing through your allocution. You're now surrendering. Prepared. You're prepared as to what to bring. You know what to expect on prison day one. The pre-sentence request. Now here we go. Your attorney has made this request for one placement at your pre-sentence interview, and the following was given to the probation officer. This is one example. Now it's given to the judge, and you're going to. This is an example of Alderson, and it goes through, and you've picked out certain. Maybe these are vocational programs that you feel that you could learn. Pick one or two. These are other programs that would be helpful for you at this location, and you go ahead and you pick a couple other of these particular programs that are available. And these are all the programs that are available at this particular location. And so this is why I feel that it's important to be prepared for your pre-sentence interview, your sentencing hearing, and why a prison consultant can help you along the way. I hope you found this helpful, and I appreciate you taking the time